Universal History, Part 2. In regards to our galactic and universal history, Nibiru has cropped up as the raison d'etre for recent investigations into the history of the solar system. It is purported that when Nibiru came into our solar system in the past, it passed through the orbits of Mars and Jupiter and out past the Sun, hooking back around into its orbit, the duration of which was 3,600 years. It used to be an outer planet of the Sirius A star system, but was damaged in battle and relocated to our solar system, where it orbited the two stars, the Sun we know and its twin, which sits below the plane of the solar system, until it was fashioned into a battle star. There are other small planets that orbit Nibiru, as well as asteroids that have been converted to battleships. Nibiru does have rings around it, but they are not like the rings around Saturn. Instead, they act as an advanced propulsion system, meaning Nibiru can and does break its orbit occasionally. Currently, Nibiru is a roaming field office for the Galactic Federation and a planetary ascension battle star. It was involved in several wars transpiring in our galaxy and in our solar system, in which its atmosphere was severely crippled. That is why gold dust is needed to repel the radiation from space. There are many civilizations on different dimensional levels living on Nibiru and on many of its orbiting bodies. They have technology that is aeons from ours. Nibiru is encased in a metal-like substance, while the protective force fields around the planet give it a bright hue. The reason why many ancient peoples thought it was a star is because it glows so brightly. The inhabitants of Nibiru live inside the planet instead of on the surface. Nibiru was created by the Galactic Federation as a battle star when it was converted from a lifeless planet into a battleship after the explosion of the star Sirius B threw it completely out of orbit. It is now a peacekeeping ship which promotes harmony among the civilizations in the galaxy, and it has assumed an orbit around the two suns in our solar system. On the inside, Nibiru houses many advanced civilizations on the many levels of its interior. It has a simulated night and day, mountains, lakes, forests, and an abundance of plant life. It even has a night sky. In a sense, it was made to resemble the planet Avion. Since Nibiru is a battle star, it provided the feminine polarized Palladian royal line of Avion the opportunity to experience masculinity by protecting other planets and civilizations from negative forces. This has greatly helped them in their spiritual growth. The great Syrian Egyptian god Anubis is the guide who currently holds Nibiru's orbit in form, and he travels with the solar system through the galactic night, just as the Pleiadians hold the orbit of the solar system as it travels through the photon band. A great Syrian Pleiadian alliance has allowed for Earth to become a repository for creative biological forms to coexist together. The invasion of the Anunnaki from Nibiru has only helped foster learning experiences. On its inception day, Nibiru was crowned with the most advanced technology in the universe. Anu's father, Niestara, was the first commander of Nibiru, and 17 generations later, it is now Anu's grandson, Marduk. Anu began his rule over Nibiru long before it came to Earth 480,000 years ago, and it was Marduk, not Alalu, who wrestled away control of Nibiru. It has been transcribed on many stone tablets that Anu stole command of Nibiru from Alalu, his brother, but that was not so. After he took control in 2300 BCE, Marduk had all the written records changed. Anu and the rest of his family live on a Palladian mothership managing its orbit near Saturn. There are many parents of starseeds on Earth also residing on this mothership. along with other races who are involved in the fulfillment of the divine plan on Earth. It has been wrongly assumed that Anu is a dark reptilian here to enslave Earth. Anu is actually a Palladian of pure Lyran descent. He is 9 feet 11 inches tall with platinum blonde hair, who works to keep pure human DNA samples for future generations. Sananda, the oversoul of the man formerly known as Jesus, is one of the 9 founders of the universe, and it was he who fragmented himself to create Amelius. His line became the Amelius line, the royal house of Avion. The royal house settled in the Pleiades after Avion was destroyed millennia ago, and it was Devon who was the family patriarch. Remember, Devon was one of the 45 felines who came to set up this universe and game. Nibiru was involved with Earth in the past, mainly as an aid. Members from Nibiru came to mine gold on Earth and realized that it was too hot. So they created a worker class of Homo sapiens to do it for them. That worker class became us. The manipulation of the DNA and the interaction with the ancient Sumerians has been a hotbed of debate lately, and I hope to clear that subject up at this point in the discourse. I will offer a different take on universal history and Nibiru according to members from the royal house of Avion, which itself is from the Lyran planet of Avion. When the 12th dimensional council of 9, the founders, finished creating this universe, the felines and the carrions chose the game of polarity integration. After this decision, the original 90 felines and carrions birthed into Amelius line, felines and Lucifer line, carrions, on the 9th dimension. These 90 members became the 9th dimensional Nibiruan Council, when it was formed as part of the Galactic Federation. Council members below the 9th dimension are soul fragments of the original members. The primary members of the royal house of Avion are mentioned below as such. 9th dimensional royal house, Devon. 9th dimensional patriarch of the house of Avion, oversoul of the 6th dimensional aspect Anu. Jalela, 9th dimensional matriarch of the house of Avion, oversoul of the 6th dimensional aspect Nuhunthrag. Satan, 9th dimensional son of Devon and Jalila, oversoul of 4th dimensional aspect Marduk, current ruler of Nibiru. Kavandai, 9th dimensional brother of Devon, oversoul of 4th dimensional aspect Nabu, son of Marduk and second in command of Nibiru. Shalandrai, 9th dimensional sister of Devon, oversoul of 6th dimensional aspect Enlil. 6th dimensional royal house, Anu, head of Galactic Federation, 6th dimensional Nibiruan Council, former commander of Nibiru, father of Ninhursag, Enki, and Enlil, grandfather of Marduk. Ninhursag, daughter of Anu by consort Reshandra, chief medical officer of the Earth mission, co-creator of mankind along with Enki. Enlil, son of Anu, by Anu's half-sister Antu, half-brother of Enki and Ninhursag, heir to the throne of Nibiru until Marduk took over. Enki, son of Anu by Dramin, the dragon queen of Earth, husband, brother to Daminkina. Ningi, known as Ptah, ruler of Egypt. Ninurta, son of Enlil by half-sister Ninhursag, grandson of Anu. Adad, son of Enlil by spouse Ninlil, grandson of Anu. Nanar, son of Enlil by Ninlil, grandson of Anu. Inanna, daughter of Nanar by spouse Ningal, half-sister of Ereshkigal, great-granddaughter of Anu. Ningishizda, Thoth, son of Enki, by consort Ereshkigal, grandson of Anu, also known as Quetzalcoatl. Ereshkigal, daughter of Nanar, by Id, snake princess of Earth, wife of Nergal, half-sister of Inanna. Nergal, son of Enki, lord of the underworld, African mines, husband of Ereshkigal. Dumuzi, son of Nanar, brother, husband of Inanna. Fourth dimensional royal house, Marduk, son of Enki, by Damkina, Ninki, dragon princess, leader of the dark forces, present commander of Nibiru and Earth. Nabu, son of Marduk, great-grandson of Anu. I will rhapsodize now about the formation of this polarity integration game from another perspective. This one is outlined from Anu himself and is very intricate concerning the spiritual game set up and the leaders of the various dimensional realms. This material was taken from the book We Are the Nibiruans, Return of the 12th Planet by Jalila Star, who is a contactee of the Devon and the Federation flagship Nibiru. Our universe is divided up into clusters of hierarchies, each larger one containing the others. There are spiritual hierarchies present that oversee the planets, galaxies, and star systems. The great spiritual hierarchy oversees all of this and represents the cosmic hierarchy, which receives directions from Prime Creator. All the hierarchies are composed of souls who have chosen the angelic realms as their path. Sananda, Amelius, is in charge of the Earth spiritual hierarchy since he is the head of the Etheric Syrians. The Etheric Syrians are heirs to the Earth, this being discussed later on. One hierarchy oversees the divine plan for the different soul groups, which are themselves divided into two groups, those that incarnate and those that do not, the latter being those who become angels. The beings that choose the role as angels evolve by serving on the spiritual hierarchies which minister to the incarnates. The incarnates evolve by learning to serve each other. In the end, everyone serves everyone else through unconditional love, since that is what every soul wishes to achieve. The goal for the souls on earth now is compassion. Souls are also divided into groups according to their current stage of evolution and whether they are an incarnate or not. These groupings make it easier for them and their divine plan. Since some souls evolve faster than others, they can move in and out of groups very rapidly. Soul clusters are larger groupings of souls who are working on a particular lesson, such as greed, obsessive compulsion, pain, etc. Guides of angels watch over each soul cluster and assist the souls in their incarnations. The incarnates have 12 dimensions in which to evolve, and the angels have 7 realms in which to advance. Right now, the Earth Syrians are the main group on Earth. This is a large soul group in which the 2-stranded DNA biological vehicles were created. 4. All the souls on Earth have these same vehicles now. However, they were originally designed for the Earth Syrians. Every soul was once in complete oneness with Prime Creator. After a while, Prime Creator fragmented into individual sparks of consciousness. These souls needed a way to evolve, and so the game of polarity integration was created, where different souls would take on roles of light and dark. Prime Creator also created a formula for the achievement of integration, and this was called the 13th dimensional formula of compassion. Prime Creator is pure love, so every soul's task was to achieve unconditional love with every being, regardless of their roles in the light or the dark. At the end of the planetary ascension game on Earth, this formula will be given to every soul who chooses to ascend, and it will permanently release negative emotions and thought forms, thus lightening the planet to the 5th dimension. This shift into the 5th dimension will then move all the planets ahead to the next dimensional frequency, whether they be ahead or of behind Earth. The creation of the divine plans came after the polarity integration game was created. Every galaxy, star system, planet, and universe has a divine plan, along with every individual soul. Our universal divine plan was created by the Council of Nine, the founders. They strived in cohesion with the universal spiritual hierarchy and the 90 felines and carrions, who act as the game engineers. In the universe from which they came, the felines represented the light and the carrions represented the dark. They came to this universe and became the game engineers. They constructed the universe, created the life forms, and seeded the planets and the stars. All the planets were created by the universal construction engineers, and the feline genetic engineers created the life forms. The Carrion magnetic engineers created the stargates, dimensions, portals, and grids. The primary races from which this game would commence became the humans, descended from the felines, and the reptiles, descended from the carrion. 45 of the game engineers birthed into the Lucifer line of the reptiles, and 45 birthed into the Amelius line of the humans on the ninth dimension. The game overseers remained abided on the 10th and 11th dimensions as the councils of 24 and 12, respectively. The game directors maintained the 12th dimension as the Council of Nine. Devon was the one chosen to represent the game engineers on the Council of Nine, and he resides as the ninth member. His part was to begin the game by birthing into and becoming the patriarch of the Amelius line. After this was accomplished, his job was to remain on the Council of Nine and arouse the other game engineers at preconceived times regarding their completion of the planetary and galactic games. Once all the souls in the universe achieve polarity integration, the game will be finished and our universe will join the Prime Creator once again. When the polarity integration game on Earth comes to fruition, the universe will be one step closer to reuniting with Prime Creator. All the species of incarnates in our universe are offspring of the felines and the carrions. The DNA blueprints were created by the felines in conjunction with the founders, and the carrions were assigned the role of protecting the infant races while they evolved. The goal of each soul was to experience roles on both sides and eventually move beyond the illusion of fear, hate, and prejudice, thereby establishing the 13th dimensional formula of compassion within their cellular structure. The Earth Divine Plan calls for the completion of the Avionian Divine Plan and the Etheric Syrian Divine Plan, the two going hand in hand. The Lyran humans who had moved to Sirius B became the Etheric Syrians, who were then given Earth as their home by the founders. The reptiles lived on Earth from its inception when it was known as Tiamat. That was when the planet was much larger. When it was struck in half, many of the reptiles went underground, our modern-day snakes and lizards being the descendants of them. The reptiles on Earth now are more masculine and technologically advanced than they are feminine and spiritually advanced. In the beginning, the creation myth that was given to the humans by the felines asserted they were to colonize any planet they wanted, and if they saw a race where they would attempt a peace treaty. The reptilians were given orders to dominate and destroy. There are two pure strains of DNA, and they are the royal houses. The royal house of the reptiles is the house of Aon, and the royal house of the humans is the house of Avion. The felines created the human seed in the ocean, and when the physical form evolved to an aquatic primate form, they moved the seed onto land and upgraded it into the form of what anthropologists have termed Homo erectus. The aquatic primate forms that stayed in the oceans on Avion became the dolphins and whales, which were intended to maintain the biosphere. Once the humans evolved to space travel, they colonized another planet in the Lyra star system called Avion. They made it a femininely polarized colony. When the reptiles arrived, they had advanced technology and were polarized toward the male side. They sowed the seeds of discord among the human population when they gave their technology to them, creating a rift among the denizens. Those that wanted to evolve spiritually and those that wanted technological advancement were strung into two divisions. When this occurred, the reptiles took the side of the humans, wanting technological advancement, and the result was the near destruction of the planet. The reptiles saw the humans as a threat because they viewed them as a consumer of space and resources. When the colony of Avalon nearly destroyed itself, the founders took the humans and placed them on a planet near Sirius B. Then continued their evolution without interference from the reptiles for a while. The Lyran humans then became the Syrian humans. Two groups developed from this movement, those being the Etheric Syrians, a non-physical group, and the physical Syrians. The Etheric Syrians were headed by Amelius. The physical Syrians choosing physical form and masculine polarity. The Etheric Syrians went on to culminate the spiritual knowledge of healing and the Lyran way of life. The founders and the spiritual hierarchies moved the physical Syrians to Alm. a planet near reptilian colonies, thus enabling them to develop their masculine side and better understand themselves. The reptiles did not like this, and many wars ensued. The conflict ended when the reptiles enslaved the Orion humans and nearly destroyed all. A small band of Orion humans formed a resistance movement against the reptiles called the Black League. Later, members from the Black League escaped Orion and traveled to Tiamat, the home given to the Etheric Syrians. The Etheric Syrians were to be the guardians of Tiamat, but they needed physical bodies in order to fulfill this role. The felines seeded the planet, and when the Etheric Syrians arrived, the land guardians were in the aquatic primate state. They decided to watch over their future physical vehicles until they were ready to inhabit them. Although, incidentally, a few Etheric Syrians incarnated into these animals, which worried the remaining group. Since thought creates reality, there was a real concern about the incarnated Syrians forgetting who they were. So a portion of the Etheric Syrians formed the Christos Alliance as part of the planetary spiritual hierarchy. This group was mandated the duty of overseeing the Syrians in animal bodies until they were evolved enough to rejoin the consciousness of their brothers and sisters. When the reptiles heard about the newly formed planet Tiamat, they set out to colonize it and found an evolving primate civilization being watched over by the Etheric Syrians. The founders allowed the reptilians to pioneer the planet in hopes that it would serve as a chance for polarity integration. The Etheric Syrians began to send positive energy to the reptile clan in hopes that they would look beyond their creation myth and see the human primates as friends. After a while, Emilius asked Devon to leave his home planet of Avion and travel to Tiamat in order to provide DNA upgrades for the primates. The Emilius line, the royal line of Avion, was the only pure line of human DNA, so it was needed to advance the primate race into a human race. When this was accomplished, the reptilians still had superior technology, but the human race was more spiritually evolved. Avion was the home planet of the humans in Lyra, and it was also the name given to the human planet in the Pleiades. After the Pleiadian planet of Avion was destroyed by the reptiles, an immense emotional barrier was erected between the humans and the reptiles. This pleased the founders. The Avionian emotional block was delegated over to Earth, formerly known as Tiamat, through the royal house of Avion on Nibiru. This was accomplished by a female from the house of Avion marrying a Pleiadian male from another planet in the Pleiades. Nestara, the first ruler of Nibiru, was born. When Anu became commander of Nibiru, he transferred the Emilius line of DNA to Earth through his children. When Emilius incarnated as Adapa, Adam, he produced a son named Seth. And it was Seth who mated with the daughters and granddaughters of Anu, merging the two Emilius lines in the royal line of Sumer. A man named Terah was born from the royal priestly line, and he became the father of the biblical Abraham, whose great-grandson Judah became one of the 12 sons of Jacob. The royal house of Judah unfolded from the royal priestly Sumer line. Most of the people on earth today are descendants of one or both of the Emilius lines. Over the course of time, the humans living on Tiamat became friends of the reptiles, who lived on either side of the human colony, bridging down Tiamat's middle. The reptilian snakes and the reptilian dragons had civilizations flanking the humans, but relations were harmonious as the humans offered the reptilians an abundance of food. When the founders and Etheric Syrians saw this, they became ecstatic, suspecting the prospect of polarity integration. Even so, a group of reptilians from the Orion Council came to Earth expressing a very displeased nature due to the fact that they considered this peaceful union a direct breach of their creation myth. The council members from Orion spoke with the ruling families of the reptilian colonies, but they were unable to persuade them in destroying the humans. They then pulled out their usual tricks and convinced the reptilian colonies that the humans were covertly trying to destroy them. The Orion Black League of Humans, having just arrived on Tiamat, increased the tension even more by telling the human colony to destroy the reptiles for the reasons that they could not be trusted. After 10,000 years of growing unease, the reptilians agreed to destroy the humans through biological warfare. After the Palladian Avionians and the Etheric Syrians were consulted, a plan was put into motion where the humans would leave Tiamat on the starship Pegasus and travel to another planet where they would continue evolving. The Etheric Syrians then became the guardians of the whales and dolphins, thereby maintaining the biosphere of Earth until a new race of human vehicles could be erected in which the Syrians could then fulfill their land guardian duties. When Earth was larger and called Tiamat, there were fusion generators in the middle of the human colony which maintained the magnetic and electrical fields on the planet. And it was these generators that were destroyed, killing most of the reptilian inhabitants. Some would survive, however, just like a few of the Etheric Syrians stuck in human animal bodies. They survived by moving underground and after a long while moved back to the surface. When Anu became commander of Nibiru, he was assigned the task of destroying Tiamat. Piloting the battlestar Nibiru, he entered the solar system from the back, which is why the ancient tablets from Mesopotamia called Nibiru the 12th planet. If you count Nibiru, the sun, and the moon, there are 12 planets. Nibiru, controlled by Anu, harnessed a satellite from Saturn and shot it into Tiamat with such velocity that it augmented her. A laser beam was projected into the fusion generators, and the planet was split in two. Nibiru guided the upper half of Tiamat into a new orbit, which became Earth, and the lower half was disintegrated into the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter today is a combination of the upper half of Tiamat and the remnants of Maldek. The satellite used to upend Tiamat was thrown into an outermost orbit of the solar system and became Pluto. An outpost was built there by the Galactic Federation to monitor events thereafter occurring in the solar system. Only 2% of the reptiles survived by moving underground, and those that did not want to destroy the humans in the first place were brought aboard Nibiru and taken care of. Anu's next assignment was to destroy the reptilian royal planet Ong in the Orion constellation. Once this was accomplished, the reptiles set before themselves the task of destroying the entire human population in the galaxy, seeing them now as a major threat. This was the beginning of the first great galactic war. The planet Maldek was forged as a military outpost for the reptilians, now untrusting of any human. The upper half of Tiamat, now called Earth, was re-energized and reseeded by the felines and the Christos Syrians with all forms of plant and animal life. Once this came to pass, there stood three distinctions of Syrians: the Christos Syrians, who worked with the spiritual hierarchy, the aquatic Syrians, who maintained the biosphere, and the earth Syrians, who watched over the newly evolving land guardian race. After a few million years, a colony called Hyperborea was fashioned together with many different human races living in conjunction with the feminine polarity. As usual, the reptile colony on Maldek took an aggressive stance and destroyed Hyperborea, leading to the destruction of Maldek as well as the human colonies on Venus and Mars. This brought an end to the first great galactic war. As a result of the atomic weapons utilized by the reptilians during their attack on Earth, Maldek was destroyed by a nuclear blast, and Nibiru lost its force field. Nibiru was forced to find large quantities of gold on the planet, or the planet would no longer be able to serve as a battle star. This brings us to the epoch roughly 500,000 BC, when Nibiru came to Earth looking for gold. The Nibiruan gods were praised in the Sumerian tablets as the Anunnaki,